Hello, Backcountry Japan. Today, I'm again with Adam Cobain, the organizer and head honcho at the Hakuba Gravel Fest. Adam, thank you so much for joining us again. I'm particularly excited about because of all of the gravel and everything that goes to it. We have a great slideshow that we put together here. Let me just start that up and then let you go ahead and tell us about the event, okay?
Thanks, and good to be back. Good to be back, and hi everyone. And yeah, we're super excited about this event. It's getting close, only a few weeks away now, so still lots of time to get your entries in and get some accommodation booked. But today, we're going to talk about some specifics of the course and what to expect for anyone who's thinking of joining, or particularly for those riders who have already signed up. Just the things like tire choice and pressures and what the sort of different gravel sections look like, and just some overview of the sort of particulars of the course.
Excellent. So all of those things that we're going to talk about today start with these slides, and I hope I have them in the right order. If I don't, we're just going to have to pop around a little bit. But I've got this one in the front of the order here, Adam. It's Hakuba Gravel Fest, 1 lap, 65 kilometers, 1,300 meters of vertical gain. What else do you have to say about that? I mean, that's a lot to say. That's 1 lap. So we're going to do 2 laps on Sunday, 1 lap on Saturday. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the format of the event, what we've tried to do with this one is make it quite accessible for everyone. So basically meaning that the 1 lap of the course is 65 kilometers. So we were looking at the 70, but when I went up and tested it, I cut out a little section that was just very ugly and not going to be fun at all. So I hope that's in make people happier on that side of the distance scale. So 65 and a little bit of climbing for that lap is 1,300 meters. So again, we sort of have cut out a little bit of the ascending as well. So what that means is basically for the categorizations or for the participants. So on the Saturday afternoon, you can either do, everyone's going to do 70, or let's call it the 65K, like 1 lap. Everyone will do 1 lap. Mm-hmm. Some riders have signed up for 2 laps and some riders have signed up for 3. So on the following day, you can do either 65K, 130K, or the full sort of, like 210K. So, but that's split over 2 days. So
right.
What it means is Saturday 1 lap and Sunday either 1 lap or 2 laps. Okay. So 2 laps on the Sunday, you're looking at 130 and 2,600 meters for the big bowlers out there who are going to dash themselves around a bit.
Well, I can't wait, because again, I thought for a second that you were going to say that they might do 3 laps in a day, because you want to say they signed up for 3, and if they didn't do the Saturday, they ended up doing
no 3 across the weekend. Totaling sort of like 3 laps in total, I guess, over the 2 sort of right, 2 days. Great. So, but yeah, the longest session will be that Sunday 2-lapper extravaganza. So so that's basically how the overall of that breaks down, and then sort of moving into the gravel side of it, which is, I guess, the determining factor of this course. This is a heavily gravel and mixed terrain focused course. So I can't see the slide.
Okay, so I've got a slide here that says Hakuba Gravel Fest, gravel, 13 sectors, 39 kilometers. That's what I'm looking at right now. Is that the right one?
Yep. So it breaks down out of that 65K. There's 13 notable gravel sectors totaling 39 kilometers. So out of your 65K, just a tad under 40 of it is off-road.
Right. Right.
So
I think there's a good marketing to that 39 not being an actual 40, but
err
all
on
intents and
the
purposes, it's a 40-kilometer gravel between 13 different sectors. Awesome.
less than 40, but more than 38.
Right.
So of that 39 kilometers and all of those 13 sectors, they're all quite different. You know, like I'm sure like a lot of people who've ridden in Japan are familiar with, or, you know, particularly off-road cycling here in Japan. You know, you've been into the forest, you've done the Rindo, you've done the rice field sort of roads, and you've probably noted all the different sort of gravelly type surfaces that you sort of come across. So in this event, we go through all of them. You know, there's a lot of variation of terrain, and so a large proportion of that 39 Ks is the rice field sort of roads, which are very sort of like the top surface is quite loose. If it's very dry, it can be dusty and very skatey at the front for your front end of your bike. So you really need to measure speed into turns and just look for traction. A large proportion of it as well is through the forestry sort of type roads, like which we would call Rindo roads. And I don't know, Rob, there's a photo I shared with you just through the trees there, which might show you a little bit better what I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay, yeah. The Rindo, which we would call it, maybe in America we call it a fire road. And
yep.
Yeah. So,
and it's generally double track, and that you know, like at this time of year you get a lot of the pine sticks coming down and those sorts of things, so you have to really be careful and watch your line through this sort of stuff. It's not just sort of like a, you know, send it type of situation. It, you know, you don't want those sticks coming back and getting in your derailleur or caught up in your chain or something like that. So you've got to again be thinking about that sort of stuff, even though that is very nice thing. It's a nice terrain to ride on in the trees when it's a clear path. But so I've got, those are the two sort of like notable sections. There's a section along one of the rivers which is quite rocky. It's not the riverbed, but it's yeah, quite a bit of technical climbing, not steep climbing, but just noodling your way around the rocks and things like that. And then just moving on to slide number 3.
We'll
talk about Iwatake.
Yeah, Iwatake, it's the flow trail, 4 kilometers. Yep.
So we're super lucky to have a partnership with the Iwatake Mountain Resort, and they've given us access to not only the access road that they use, which is a climb. It's about a 4K climb up to Iwatake Mountain. They've done some really nice infrastructure up there, where there's a bakery and a cafe, and you know, if you're staying in town for a few days with the family, like jump on the gondola and head up there. It's a really amazing view, and great coffee, and yeah, you can sit there and look at the mountain, you know, in a different way. And but we're going to climb the access road, which is it's a maintained road, but it's near the top. It's pretty sketchy, and you're crossing over the center line quite a lot, looking for say the smoother sections of the road. They've been doing a bit of construction up there, so it's pretty packed down. So yeah, it's not skatey type.
It's just the one where you've got a picture of is that Albert?
That's Albert, and that's the way that's coming down.
That's coming down. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right.
So the road up, the climb is very different to this. Now, once we sort of peak out at the summit of the Iwatake climb, we pick up what Iwatake call their sort of flow trail, and it's a beginner to / intermediate trail for what the Iwatake Mountain Bike Park has to offer. So it's about 4Ks of you know, purpose-built mountain bike trail, you know, or basically a pack down, as you can see from that.
Yeah,
that
I mean, it
image
looks
there.
like a really fun track if you're on a mountain bike. It looks like a fairly technical gravel descent, and you know, it looks like a really almost I would say, like, for your hardcore mountain biker guys, it'd just be like, you know, just a really just a fun, fast track. So
Yeah, if you're a mountain biker on you know, like a 140 mil or even more travel, like this is just going to be a pump session for
Right.
most of them, like into the switchbacks, into the turns, just pump out of it. And you know, I mean, there's only so fast you can go around that stuff anyway, because the berms themselves sort of limit the speed. So what we were finding on our gravel bikes, you know, and Albert there, he's got a 700C with a 42 mil on it, and I had 650B with 47, and like I think we're at limit of grip, you know, just with the tire selection sort of forces your hand in that regard. It wasn't overly challenging, other than like you have to concentrate on.
yeah, you just gotta keep your head on your shoulders. Yeah. I think there's some Rindo that would be more challenging, simply because a lot of the Rindo, it looks like, I mean, they don't really think about cyclists, and they don't think about that at all when they make it. So it's just like a lot of loose gravel. This looks pretty packed down comparatively, I guess.
Yeah. It's you know, in good condition. It was a little bit damp when we were there, so we were getting a little bit of like sort of you know, balling up on the tires and things like that, and actually losing some traction just because of that. But
Right.
you know, with dry conditions, it's going to be very, very fast, and it's not rough. It's just basically you got to ride the brakes a lot, because you just, you know, your ability.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like
you can do it. But
I mean, you can
it
see
took
right
us
here.
it took us 20 minutes to get off it.
I see.
So for 4K, is you're not going fast, you
Yeah.
know, and so there's lots of sections on that where you can take a break, because I was getting a little bit of hand pump, you know, and you know, so you could sort of, we had to stop a few times just to
And to
recalibrate.
and just enjoy. Yeah.
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 And some nice views that they've got there. So that's going to be super fun, and that, yeah, really is the only section, of course, that's like that. But I really wanted to include it. I think it's sort of really makes the Hakuba event something that's quite unique, not just here in Japan, but globally.
Worldwide.
You know,
Yeah. Generally, they don't put this kind of stuff in a gravel bike event that's this long. So yeah, I'm hoping, for me, it's heaven. I mean, I'll enjoy that, because again, I like to, you know, get into some single tracker stuff as well. And this is about the kind of single track that I like. So for me, it's exactly what I was, you know, hoping to do. So yeah.
Yeah, and you know, we don't get enough of that in Japan. You know, unfortunately, a lot of the single track that we all have available is either very short, or it's a shared with hikers and things like that. And so just to be able to, you know, ride like a fully purpose-built section is going to be really special experience, I think, for a lot of people. Like once they, you know, get to the bottom of it, they'll reflect on it and hopefully see, you know, the good, positive side of what just happened.
Of course.
What they achieved.
Of course. All right, let's move along to the next slide, which is we have it's a slide that says 25% mountain bike, 65% gravel, and 10% road. You want to elaborate on that?
So looking at you know, like say bike sort of like, you know, the situations where you're going to be sort of you know, riding your bike on. So the 25%, you know, if I was on a mountain bike, I'd be stoked. You know, like that is the choice of bike.
The ideal bike for that section would be a mountain bike. Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And what I'm talking about when meaning that is definitely the Iwatake climb and the Iwatake descent. Really, you know, a gravel bike is no faster. If anything, it's going to be a limiter. Not having suspension or tire width, or just the handlebar setup, you know, for stability and turning to sort of on the descent and that sort of stuff. So And then there's a couple of other sections around on the course where the mountain bike's just going to be in its element. And I think about the rice field roads as well, where having a flat bar, like a nice 75 mil, 75 centimeter bar just turning into 90-degree turns, you're just going to have so much more predictability at the front end and traction from a wider tire and lower pressure. So so I'd say 75%, 25% the mountain bike's going to kill it, and you're going to be on your gravel bike or CX bike or whatever bike going like, I wish I brought the mountain bike
for just about 25%, which again, when you think about it, that's going to be a significant amount, of the full course. But this other part, that 65% of it's going to be ideal. A gravel bike's going to be ideal. That's to talk about Ringo and bad
talking
asphalt.
So good old crappy broken asphalt. Not so technical climbing, where you can just sort of get the power down, and regardless of sort of needing a good knobby tire or something like that. It's just more of a bike position and just leg power as opposed to sort of bike choice. And definitely some of the flat sections. So there's once the two climbs are out of the way, you're sort of very much just on the flat terrain. So the gravel bike's definitely going to pick up speed on those sections. And if anyone who's done the Grand Fondo Miyoko will remember the river section that we take through Hakuba, a couple of the rice fields there. So we're doing that, but we're going in the reverse direction. And that you can ride that on a road bike. You can ride that on a 25 mil, 28 mil
no worries
stuff. So it's pretty fast. And quite well packed down as well. So not a lot of chance for pinch flats and those sorts of things.
It's a really well groomed road from my perspective. Of course, I did it on a fat bike, so my vision of that is a bit different. I'll be seeing how I do it. My choice for this event is going to be fully rigid mountain bike, single speed, with a mountain bike bar and very wide gravel tires for a gravel bike. So yeah.
Yeah, I think a good setup, and if you sort of back yourself with like the way that sort of a bike rides, I think strong riders can ride a mountain bike just as quick as a gravel bike could go, on a lot of sections. So it even becomes more an advantage in that sort of regard. So and then the sort of on-road sections, of which there's a few, you just got to noodle around the crossing over main roads and things like that. Like there's very little time that we spend on any major road, and it's something I'm always very proud of in the design aspect is making sure we're not doing any big right hand turns on intersections, and and actually we barely, besides crossing over the main roads like directly where you look left, you look right, of course you've got to stop and follow all the road rules, but it's not like we're having to sort of join and flow and merge with that sort of with cars on the road. So and then when we do have to cross over a bridge, we're on the we're going to take the foot and bike path, which we're more than able to do before we just turn off it again. So these sections, obviously they're dead flat, in terms of they're smooth in terms of sort of the surface, and but a very small proportion of the event is on that, and the largest section is around Aokiko,
right,
which you'll be wanting it, you'll be enjoying it regardless of what bike you're on.
Just take it easy, enjoying the view of the lake and viewing the surroundings, and not having to have that technical edge on. I think everybody will be happy to have that. So in that 10% road, it's just going to be a little bit of a breather technically, I guess, is what you're saying. And
and funnily, like I love I come from a mountain bike background, and I mean, I'm always scratching around where I live here in Goomba to find any dirt that I can. But when I was out testing this course with Albert and Vaughn, who live in Hakuba, like I was, I get to Hakuba and always really excited because there's just so much gravel and variation of terrain that I'm super excited. But here in Ota in Goomba, I'm like literally like looking for as much terrain. But when I got there and I was riding the course, I was looking for the smooth line. I had had enough.
All right. Well, see, I mean, one of the reasons I'm so excited is because, of course, this is backcountry Japan, and we try to find where no people are, and that's the main thing. Is just that we don't want to be where there's a lot of cars and a lot of traffic, and that's one of the things that really impressed me about Grand Fondo Miyoko. I think I saw 2 cars the entire time that weren't part of our tour the first time I did it. And the second time I did it, I think I saw 5 cars the total time that I was there. I was actually trying to count them, and I was like, "Where are all the cars?" I couldn't find them. And it was just that was one of the selling points for me, and one of the reasons why I try to get everybody to come to your events, because I know they're going to be carless.
Same with this one. Besides, instead crossing over those main roads, which you're only like basically. Crossing straight over it, so you're not even with the traffic. Very, very little traffic chance of you're not going to meet them on the rice-filled roads. You're not going to meet too many cars in along the rivers and this sort of stuff. If they are, they're just K trucks and
just farmer out doing his job, which is also fun to see. Now, I would love to talk about the next slide that I have here, which is it says 700 by 42C and 650 by 47C and Niner. What do you mean by this? What's the idea of this slide?
So this is what we rode when we tested it. So Vaughn was on his 29, a mountain bike, rigid front end. I was on a 650 by 47, so quite wide, but a smaller version of the sort of the wheel size than the 29er, and Albert was on the 700 by 42. So Vaughn obviously had the widest tires. I think he had Maxxis 2.2s on, and then the 47 and then the 42. Like
it's a fast mountain bike tire.
Reasonably. Not too bulky. All of them were very similarly matched. In terms of sort of advantages and disadvantages, so I guess what I'm trying to allude to or recommend to people is I would go as wide as possible that you can fit on your bike. I think that not only for basically sort of traction and stuff like that, but just the volume of the air that you can get in there. You can run, if you're running tubes, you could run lower pressure. And that all backs into comfort on the bike and traction,
where you need it,
within turns and that sort of thing, being able to use more of the tire. So for anyone who's got their mountain bike, it's self-explanatory. I think you're going to have a 29er these days. So picking a tire, something like what am I thinking of? Like a Continental Speed King or something like that would be on the faster side to some of the new, like a Schwalbe Furious Fred sort of thing. These are all very lightweight sort of tires, but they've got a really fast center sort of section, and then you've got some knobbies on the side. These tires seem to be working really well on this course because you've got the speed on the flatter sort of terrain, whereas the knobs are going to cost you in momentum, and you're going to have to put a little bit more effort in over the course of say 65 Ks doing that. So I think if anyone going like say into the 32s, 700 by 32C and stuff, definitely want a knobby, a really sort of like knobby sideball on that.
Got it. In my case, I've got a semi-knobby IRC 3.8 that I've decided to put on both front and back. And yeah, tubeless, of course, so I can regulate a bit of the air pressure on there. That's what's on the bike right now. I can always throw on heavier, meaner tires. I've got a fat bike if I really just decide that it's probably better to go with gears and a fat bike. But I've taken it over all the stuff that I normally ride over here on my fat bike, and it's been able to do all of that fairly well. So we'll see how it actually turns out. But yeah, 38. I'm at 38C on mine. So I'm looking at these 42 and 47. I'm thinking that's a bit bigger than what I run, but should maybe still be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could never work out the sort of math on it all. Like, I'm always in mountain bike, I would regard, you know, a 2.0 or a 2.2, but the road variations of 47s is basically like a 1.8 or 1.7 or 1.8. So we used to ride those back in the 90s. Like, that was our mountain bike width, you know, like race width was sort of a 1.7.
That's right.
26 by 1.75. So it was, you know, like quite narrow. And, you know,
the faster mountain bike courses. Yeah.
And, you know, and you could still do a lot of stuff with a tire like that. So, you know, the mountain bike now with the 29 are pushing out to generally a 2.2, 2.3, 2.4s are, you know, are sort of the go-to now. But a little bit of overkill, I think, in a lot of regard, like around that 1.8 to 2.2 is a good sort of width. Yeah. And it's just, I think more importantly is the pressure that you run.
Yeah, you were talking about pressure and pressure to run in the, let's say somebody, just for the sake of argument, I have people who are going to ask me, can I do this on a road bike? And what would your answer be to that? Is it even possible? No. Okay.
No. You know, unless you're Peter Sagan, you know, maybe
okay, good enough.
you could throw your road bike down Iwatake. You know, look, I'll never say it can't be done. Of course, it could be done, but it's going to be, it's going to be. And I've said this from the outset. This is CX, you know, like
gravel,
MTB gravel bike. Like, if you're coming to us with a 28 mil road bike, you know, that's like bringing a pen to the wrong sort of knife fight. Like, it's not going to work.
Okay.
So please, like, take note of that, everyone. And you know, and in your sort of preparation, like, it will make or break your ride. Actually, sort of how important the sort of tires and the preparation you sort of put into understanding that sort of side of it. So we don't want to have any accidents. We don't want to have any, you know, like, ill-equipped bikes going out there, because, you know, we are talking about, you know, like a lot of off-road terrain. So, you know, luckily we're never far from service course, you know, like you're always close to life in the town or the start and finish area. So if you do bust something on your bike, or you have to retire, you know, it's really easy to get back to your car and get back to the hotel or whatever like that. You know, it's one of the real pluses of this event. But you know, it can't be understated how much preparation is important. And
that's always it goes with everything that you do, and I think that's I was also you know, it's just as far as tire pressure itself within your tire pressure, you were saying that you want to run a lower tire pressure simply for the comfort, but also for the grip that you're going to need. What did you run on the day?
So I'm a quite light rider, and I don't know, we'll have to share it again, but there is some great calculators that Silka have done just regarding your own weight and the tire width and optimal, or at least recommended tire pressures. So with me weighing around 61, 62 kilos, I was like in the 29, 31 psi.
Okay, wow. Okay.
You know, and it was really nice. You know,
Okay.
like I find with the gravel bike with the rigid front end that you lack a lot of front end turn in, like that you know, coming from mountain biking, you're very much used to having that sort of like a more predictable turning ratio. I find the gravel bike, you have to sort of soften it up a little bit. So I find like a really lower pressure gives you a bit more predictability when turning. So, and it also just stops that vibration that you get through the front end by not having the suspension or having a big 2.2 tire on there that's got even more volume. So you're running it as low, like if it is a gravel setup, like running it as low as you possibly can, which tubeless mostly allows. If you're running tubes, then you're sort of limited by, you know, the possibility of pinch flatting and that sort of thing. So you need to run the tires a little bit harder to sort of avoid that. So it's definitely, you know, a dark art getting it right. And, you know, and I remember back from a lot of races, you know, on the start line, just sort of people like, what pressure you're running, what pressure you're running, you know, what pressure, you know, it's sort of like, you know, it's something that the mechanics at World Cup level never talk about, you know, what they're doing when they're testing courses and stuff. They don't, you know, come out and say, you know, what pressure, because it's a very much a secret and a personal thing. So what Albert's running, I don't know.
Now I know what you run. But
I guarantee
I'm a 2 bar guy. If on my fat bike it's a bar, and then everything else it's 2 bar, and then I try to stay within that. And you know, afterwards it might lose some air, it might gain some air, but on the fat bike it's a bar. It's never more than a bar. And then on the mountain bikes and gravel bikes, it's always 2 bars. So everybody now knows Rob's.
Yeah, and it's super fun to play with. Like if you've got a course nearby your house or something, you know, like sometimes, you know, you just start with, if you're testing a new tire or something, like put, you know, I work in PSI, but you know, you might put 35 in it and then go do it one day, and then next day check it and it's like 33. Go test it again, you know, then 31 and then 20, you know, and you'll sort of find this harmony with
that
where the
spot
pressure is at its best.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So now we have like our 2 timings and a checkpoint at 18 and one at 48K. So
So 65K course. So we're going to have 2 timing and checkpoints. So one will be at the base of Iwatake, which is about 18 Ks in. So if you actually think that doesn't sound like much, but for that first 18 Ks, you're doing a large proportion of the climbing will come in that first sort of like 18 Ks, and also then the descent of Iwatake. So if anyone runs into any sort of mechanical problems, you know, there'll be some support available there. First aid will be available there. And you know, the usual sort of like water and like replenishments of food and that sort of stuff. Not that you would have used that much of that side of things, but it's just a good location to check in with everyone and make sure everyone's sort of got through the Iwatake section, no problems. And then the second checkpoint will be at 48 Ks, the place called Bob's Coffee, which is on the shores of Lake Aoki. It's a beautiful spot there.
Yeah.
And he's going to set up, it's going to be a nice little setup there where they're going to put on some coffee and foods and things like that that's going to be available to the riders. So again, yeah, you can, I haven't worked out what we'll do for, maybe we'll do bag drop or something at 1 or 2 of those. I don't know, work that out later. But yeah, there'll be two basically service points out on the course, you know, so you just got to get to those, and they'll also provide us with our timing updates, and you know, it's basically knowing where you are on the course, you know. So yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. Like you know, it's 65 Ks and it doesn't sound like much, but there's actually, it's a lot of riding to go on in that 65 K. So it's a really, yeah, really happy with the course.
Oh yeah,
And the way it sort of it plays out.
It looks like it just, from everything I've seen on it, it looks just like exactly the kind of course that I would like to ride, that I would like to be on. I've gone through and I took the course that I saw off of the Relive, and I kind of put together a basic idea of the course on Komoot. Will there be a GPS available, file available? When can we expect that, maybe?
Yeah, well, the Relive is available on the website, and so is the Riber GPS file. But as with all of our events,
That's right. You are sponsored by Ride with GPS, so you get it from there.
And I'll suggest, like, you know, just use it as a rule of thumb right now, but it will not possibly be the final full course.
I use it just so I don't get lost.
Yeah, totally.
What I
recommend.
My recommendation for anybody that's going to any of these events is to take the course as you see it, make the course on your own, gear, whatever you use to do navigation. Then as a fail-safe, you'll know where you are on your course, even if you lose the proper course. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, it's, I mean, the GPS file is established as, as the course, and should go onto all devices, like as is. But we'll update that. Like I just got word the other day that some construction started on one of our sort of minor gravel sections, so we're going to have to route around that. So, it'll be like in the week before, the few days before, like that's probably when to do the final upload to your device, and that'll be the most recent version of sort of what happens. But you can look at it now and get a really good idea of the course has got on the Riber GPS link all the yellow sections of the gravel sections, as well as the sort of sector start and finish points are on there as well. So you can sort of make your own notes about that and how long each section's going to go for and when it's going to finish, whatever you like, like however you approach these sorts of things. But the course will be marked to a certain extent, and you should never rely on, like that wholeheartedly, because we're on open roads here and that sort of thing. But, having a good GPS device with the course loaded on, and then supplementing that with our own course marking, you should be good, but as we say, preparation, like do your research.
Yeah. So
like,
what we say is 1 is none and 2 is 1. So if you have a backup for whatever you're doing, then you're in good shape. So that's how I always think it. 1 is none, 2 is 1. So yeah.
Yep. But yeah, we can't wait to see you guys there, and like registration will kick off 10 a.m. on Saturday,